In previous episode, we talked about Agile as a mindset, not a framework. But in this episode, we're going to talk about the most well-known Agile framework, which is Scrum. It's one of the most misunderstood frameworks. So listen in to know more. I'm Greg Miścichowski, and this is the Uncover Leadership Podcast. For over 15 years, I've been leading teams, and my mission is simple: to share my experience so you can grow on your own leadership journey. Each episode, I'll bring you some practical tips, real-world insights, and lessons from my path to help guide yours. So listen in. Let's uncover leadership together. So let me start first with a statement that Agile was not created to create more meetings. And for some people, Scrum means more work, more meetings, more oversight. Of course, right? In Scrum, you're gonna have your daily meetings, we're gonna have a sprint planning, there's retrospectives, you're gonna have to use some tool to create stories, to create boards for your team. Either it's going to be in ticketing systems or in a story system, however you're going to call it. And it's very often why Scrum is blamed that the delivery does not improve. And we need to understand, Scrum was not created to add meetings. It was not created to slow down the team. And it definitely wasn't created to fix broken leadership. Scrum exists for one reason: to help teams deal with uncertainty and then deliver value. In Agile, it is important to have the right mindset. Frameworks comes next. And Scrum is one of the simplest ways that the teams try to live by that mindset in practice. So what is Scrum and what it's not, right? That's the most important question, like what we should not do. Scrum in itself, in its core, it's a lightweight framework. It should be simple, it should not be overburdened. And Scrum doesn't tell the teams how to design the software, how to design the work, how to process with the work. It doesn't dictate what tools the team should use, and it doesn't tell them how fast they should go. Scrum should create clarity in the roles for the team members. It should create that short feedback loop that I mentioned in the prior episode, to get stakeholders as soon as possible and get their opinion. And the daily meetings, the retrospectives, are for that regular inspection and adaptation for the team. Will Scrum guarantee a success for your team at your company? No, that will not guarantee success. The right mindset, the right people on a team, and the right space for them to grow, this is what's gonna drive the value. This is what's gonna drive the success, regardless of the framework that you're gonna choose. In fact, it's not gonna be a productivity hack. Like, we're gonna implement Scrum, we're gonna deliver much faster, we're gonna spend less money. That's not the purpose. Scrum, the role of the Scrum or the Agile as a mindset, the most important role is to do something very uncomfortable. It should expose problems early. That's why the teams are meeting daily, to build trust, to share where they are, and then to identify that something's go wrong. So if you have weak leaders in your teams, it will be exposed as soon as the team gonna bring it up. You're gonna be able to see it repeating pattern. And if you're gonna have a weak Scrum Master, he's gonna try to hide it. He's gonna try to put blame on the team. If you have a weak product owner, they will not be collaborating with the team. They will be saying that the team is not listening to them. It might also show the culture problems like weak communication. It will be shown by Scrum that the team does not have the priorities clear, or that the leadership is missing as a whole. It will not fix the team. It will not fix broken teams, but it will help show the problems much faster than in other frameworks. And that's a good thing. That's where we can act. That's where you as a leader, you can act, you can fix the problems, you can build strong teams, build the right culture, and then help the team succeed. And if you hear me, I'm repeating teams over and over, because in Scrum, it is all about the team. The team build, the team organize, the team plans. The team does not distinct separate roles when they present. There are no silos, there should be no handoff, there should be no statement that my part is done. It's a one team, one backlog, and there should be one goal for the team. And in Scrum itself, you can see that there are three roles, three responsibilities. You have the product owner, and the product owner is responsible to define what's in the backlog, what's the value the team gonna bring. So he is setting up the direction for the team. Then you have a Scrum Master. The role of the Scrum Master is to help the team learn, improve, and then to remove the obstacles. Scrum Master is not a note taker or just meeting organizer. And then you have a team members, and regardless if it's going to be developers, BAs, testers, the team members are the one that build, test, and deliver products. They deliver value. And there is an important part. Scrum does not describe three separate groups. It describes it as a one team with different responsibilities. As I mentioned in the last episode, what I like to say, that the team wins together, the team fails together, and the team owns the outcome together. So the success will not belong to individuals, because that's when the Scrum gonna break, the team gonna break. And then the failures should not be blamed on anyone, and it should be accountable as a whole. Everyone is accountable. And that's only when I believe that the Scrum will work, when the team truly becomes one unit. Now, why I'm gonna jump a little bit into framework itself. Why we work in sprints? Because we want to get a cycle. It's easier for human minds to work in cycles. We know what to expect in the near future. And sprint itself, it should not be treated as a deadline. I know should probably are blamed, to put a deadline like this is the 2 weeks, this is what needs to be done. We should not work in the mindset of mini waterfalls, and we should not put a pressure on the team like this is what you need to do. The sprint, we're gonna treat the sprint as a learning cycle, this is where you're gonna see the best outcomes. The sprint itself should be treated as a short window when the team will plan, build, review, and learn. That's why the sprints should be short. You don't want to waste a lot of time on each increment. You want to give them let's say this 2 weeks, because this is the most common. They're going to plan for that 2 weeks, they're going to execute it, and they're going to see what was successful, what was not successful. Did we finish what we planned for? Did we have any more room? Can we plan more? Do we need to plan less? Maybe we forgot to account for something that we can fix in the future. And if we're going to work in sprints as you usually work in waterfall, that you're going to flow through phases, you're going to first gather the requirements, then you're going to develop, and then you're going to test. It's not going to be Scrum. It's just going to be short waterfall. And then it's also going to fail, because what the developer is going to do when the BA going to gather the requirements at the beginning of the sprint? They're just going to wait. Everything should be done in the same time. We meet with for example, we should meet with the business on the first day, listen in what they're expecting. The developers can start building, the testers can start building the test cases, prepare the data, and then BA can start documenting it and then get a review. As we go, we ask more questions. If we stop, we ask more questions. As soon as we reach that, we finish everything, we go and ask for more. The team should use the sprints as a way to help them to ask the question, what did we learn and what we should change next? So with this, I'm gonna jump to the retrospective, right? This is the question they're asking. That's why the teams should have a retrospective, to analyze how it went, what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we can do better in the future. As a part of the retrospective, the team also should think, did we had enough support? And then they should communicate it that, we didn't get enough support from the leadership. Let's say we hit a roadblock, we ask for support and we waste 2 days waiting for something. That's going to quickly expose that maybe the culture is so slow, right? Maybe this is just the process in the whole company that we can fix. And you as a leader, if you're going to notice it and you're going to work on it, that's going to be your success. You can work with the people to get it changed. But went ahead of the meetings, right? Talking about the sprint, we start with the sprint planning. So the team should meet and they should plan for the next 2 weeks. They should review if they have enough information for the stories. Maybe they need to have a meeting with the business to ask more questions for the stories. Maybe they're ready. They slot the stories depending on the historical information that they have. In sprint, we use story points. Story points should not be tied to time, to days. It should be complexity of the stories, and that, in my opinion, story points should never go to any kind of reporting. First of all, if you're going to ask the team to increase the number of story points per sprint, they can make just, bump up the story points for each story, and you're going to finish more points, but you're not going to finish any more work. If you're going to compare two teams that one is doing more story points versus another, you may not necessarily understand that one team is on average giving, let's say, 5 story points for a medium story when the other one is giving 3, and you're going to have a difference. Whatever works for them, that's fine. So I'm going to talk about the metrics later, but just as a introduction to that. So when the team going to finish their planning, they're confident that this is what they can accomplish in the next 2 weeks. We are jumping to the daily Scrum. And the daily Scrum, it's usually say that you are asking the 3 questions. 3 questions are not necessary. Not everyone needs to provide an update because we don't want to waste time. But the daily meeting exists for the team to inspect and adapt on a daily basis. If one of the team members is going to communicate that they are totally blocked, that they discover that we missed something, we need to change the approach, the team can refocus and start doing something else, not to waste time. Meanwhile, someone can try to resolve the blocker or work with the other teams to get it resolved for them. It's short time, right? Because we are meeting every 24 hours, skipping the weekend. And it's not a status meeting. The team members are not providing status to the Scrum Master. And what I hate the most is seeing that the Scrum Master is just updating tool with the stories for the team. It's just a minute. The team members can go, they can provide a comment where they are, if they have a problem, if they finished. And that's the culture, right? That's the culture that the team built for themselves. If something like that happened, and I hate it, I tell them like, it's not hard. You should go and do it. That's your story. You should not rely on the Scrum Master. He can focus on something else to help you in the future. And it should also help the team adjust their sprint plan for the next day, for current day and for the next day, when they're going to know where they are, like, oh, we are ahead of schedule. We can replan. Maybe we can try to think about what we're going to add to the sprint, or if they're delayed, like they can brainstorm and they can quickly think a way to get back on track. The goal of the daily meeting is simple. Try to identify the problems early and adapt as quick as possible. I already mentioned about the sprint retrospective before, but on a team retrospective, you should not prepare a huge deck to review it. There should be no slides. the team should not do any promises or review the working results. That's the demo is for. But on the retrospective, the team should focus on how they work. Like I mentioned, they should see what they can adapt for. And then the demo, I mentioned the demo. So what's the purpose of the demo? It's to get the stakeholders on a call, show them what we finished and get their feedback. Explain to them if it's not something visible. I know that the teams are struggling a lot if there is not anything visible for them to show, but it's not a problem. Explain to them what was created in the background. If it's a database, show them how the data are going to be structured. Maybe pull the example of the data. If it's possible, give them the access, so anyone that's technical enough, they can go and they can take a look at the data and maybe give you feedback sooner, like, oh, I don't like how it's structured, or I don't see some data. But you want to get that feedback as early as possible. And I always say that I love if the Scrum Master is kicking off the call. Let's say they're going to provide quick metrics for the team, and then the product owner going to explain what the team finished. But I love when the team is presenting their own work, because then it's give them that ownership, that knowledge that this is what we created and this is what we are showing to the stakeholders. It helped them build that ownership mindset. It helped them be pride for what they finish, and it make them accountable for what they're going to deliver in the future. So remember that, feedback in Agile, it's gold. Even the negative, or maybe most important, the negative feedback, because this is where we can address something and we can be better next time. And we need to remember that learning is much cheaper than learning later, because we're going to make a lot of mistakes in between. So I tried to make this one shorter than the last one. Unfortunately, it's over 15 minutes. So I am a little bit off my plan, but let's wrap it up, right? Scrum is simple by design. It was designed to be simple, and it works best when the teams take ownership of their planning, of their deliverables, of their own mistakes. And it's gonna fail when people will expect magic to happen. That's not magic, that's hard work on the team side. Scrum will not replace leadership, it required it's even more. And in the next episode, we'll zoom into one of the most misunderstood roles in Scrum, the Scrum Master. Like I mentioned, it's not a note taker. Then if you liked it, please follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for listening today, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you.